Avoidant attachment has a specific way of confusing you because it can contain real emotional bonding and real emotional withdrawal at the same time. They can be attached and still act cold. They can miss you and still pull away. They can care and still deny it, even to themselves. And if you are anxious, that contradiction turns your mind into a courtroom. You start gathering evidence. You start treating moments like proof. You start trying to solve a person instead of building a relationship. So here's what this episode is going to do for you. I am going to give you 3 signs an avoidant is emotionally attached, but I am also going to teach you how to read those signs without turning them into fantasy. Because feelings without capacity will still break your nervous system. If you stay until the end, you will know the difference between emotional attachment that can grow into a relationship and emotional attachment that keeps you stuck in a loop. Let's start with the core truth most people miss. Avoidants do not struggle with feeling as much as they struggle with what feeling implies. Feeling implies responsibility. Feeling implies repair. Feeling implies that another person can matter enough to change your choices. And if their history taught them that closeness costs, their nervous system will try to keep attachment at a manageable distance. That is why you can see real attachment and real avoidance at the same time. The bond forms, but the system still protects autonomy. The care is real, but the structure is not secure. Now, if you are anxious, you need one stabilizing reminder before we even get into the signs. Being emotionally attached to you is not rare. Many people can attach to you. What is rare is emotional availability. What is rare is capacity. So the goal is not to prove attachment. The goal is to read whether attachment can become steady choice. Because you do not want to win someone's feelings and lose your nervous system. You want reciprocity. You want consistency. You want repair. You want a relationship that does not require you to decode it to survive it. So here is the structure. 3 signs of emotional attachment in avoidant attachment, and then the capacity filter that tells you whether the attachment is safe to build with. Sign 1 is proximity maintenance. Sign 2 is protective investment. Sign 3 is re-engagement after rupture. Those 3 signs show that you matter in their internal world, but the way avoidants show that you matter is often indirect, because direct attachment feels like loss of autonomy. It feels like exposure. It feels like a door closing behind them. And if closeness once meant pressure or disappointment, their system will try to keep one foot out, even while their heart comes closer. Now, sign 1, proximity maintenance. This is the most common sign and also the most misread sign. Proximity maintenance means they keep a thread with you. They keep a channel open. They keep themselves in your orbit. They do not fully disappear. They might pull away emotionally, but they do not fully let you go. And this can look like small things that anxious people underestimate. A casual check-in, a meme, a song, a story reaction, a message that arrives right when you start to detach, a reappearance after a quiet period that feels perfectly timed. Sometimes it is not even direct contact. It is hovering, watching your stories, staying visible, liking something old, asking mutual friends about you. Proximity maintenance is their way of saying, I am not ready for full closeness, but I also do not want to lose access to you. And if you are anxious, this is where you get trapped, because your nervous system reads proximity as progress. You tell yourself, they are still here, so it must be building. But proximity is not progress. Proximity is just proximity. The question is what kind of proximity it is, because there are 2 versions, One version is attachment with low capacity, and one version is attachment used as regulation. Attachment with low capacity means they genuinely feel bonded. They do not want to lose you, but their skills around repair and consistency are underdeveloped. They stay close, but they are clumsy. They can love you and still struggle to show up. Regulation proximity means they stay close because you soothe their loneliness, their ego, their desire, their nervous system, their identity. They do not want the responsibility of choosing you, but they want the benefits of your presence. They want the warmth, the attention, the intimacy, the relief. They want a person, but not a relationship. And the way you tell the difference is not by intensity. It is by what happens when you require clarity. A bonded avoidant with capacity moves toward clarity over time. A regulating avoidant resists clarity and protects access. That is the first key. Proximity maintenance becomes meaningful only when it comes with forward motion. Now, here is a deeper layer that explains why this sign is so common. Avoidant attachment often experiences closeness as both soothing and threatening. In the moment, they can be warm, affectionate, present. Then afterward, their system scans for consequences. What does this mean? What will be expected? What did I just imply? Do they want more now? Am I trapped? That scan can lead to withdrawal, even if the closeness was real. But because they are attached, they still want the bond. So they maintain proximity in a low-pressure way. Small contact, low vulnerability. A thread that keeps you there without making them feel demanded. And this is where anxious attachment experiences the most pain, because low-pressure contact can feel like crumbs. Your system is organized around safety through closeness and clarity. So a thread without clarity feels like being held just close enough to bond and just far enough to suffer. So sign 1 tells you something real, but it also warns you. This person is attached enough to keep you near, but you have to test whether they can build, not just hover. Now, sign 2, protective investment. When avoidants become emotionally attached, they often start investing in your well-being in small, specific ways. They track you. They notice you. They remember details. They show a form of protectiveness. They might not call it love, but their behavior starts revealing that your emotional state impacts them. They might ask if you got home safe. They might check in when you are sick. They might remember your schedule. They might remember an insecurity you shared once and never bring it up in a cruel way. They might show care through practical actions instead of words. They might fix things, solve things, help you, offer you something tangible. Because avoidant attachment often learned early that emotions were handled alone. So instead of saying, "I miss you," they say, "Did you eat?" Instead of saying, "I care," they say, "Be careful." Instead of saying, "I want you close," they show up in a concrete moment. Now, this sign matters because it usually costs them. Avoidants are protective of autonomy, so when they start investing in you, they are allocating attention and energy. They are letting you matter. And for an avoidant nervous system, letting someone matter can feel like handing someone a weapon. It is not logical. It is nervous system memory. If closeness once led to disappointment or pressure, caring becomes risky. So when they still care anyway, it is a sign of emotional attachment. But here is where anxious attachment misreads it. You think protection equals readiness. You think protectiveness equals commitment. You think if they are protective, they must be serious. But protectiveness can exist in someone who still cannot choose you clearly. Protectiveness can also be possessive, not loving. So we have to separate protective care from protective control. Protective care feels like warmth that respects your autonomy. It reduces your uncertainty. It makes you steadier. Protective control looks like jealousy, monitoring, entitlement, and ownership without responsibility. They want access to you, but they do not want to be accountable to you. They want you to behave like a partner, but they do not want to treat you like one. So here is the question that reveals what sign 2 really means. Does their protectiveness protect your nervous system, or does it activate it? Do they care in a way that makes you feel safe, or do they care in a way that makes you feel managed? If their care comes with punishment when you ask for clarity, then it is not safe attachment. It is attachment without capacity. And that will keep you addicted to moments while starving you of stability. Now, sign 3, re-engagement after rupture. This is one of the clearest signs of emotional attachment in an avoidant because it goes against their default. Many avoidants withdraw when they feel too close. They shut down. They need space. They go quiet. They rationalize. They tell themselves it is not a big deal. They minimize. They distract. They detach. But an avoidant who is emotionally attached will return. They reopen contact. They circle back. They check if you are still there. They re-engage after distance. And if you are anxious, this is the most addictive moment of all, because you feel relief. Relief feels like love. But relief is your nervous system coming out of threat, and that relief becomes reinforcement. You become bonded to the person who can remove the discomfort they created. That is intermittent reinforcement. Closeness, withdrawal, panic, return, relief, deeper bonding, repeat. So sign 3 shows attachment, but it is also the sign that can trap you the most. Because returning is not choosing. Returning is not commitment. Returning is not repair. Returning is simply re-engagement. They can be emotionally attached and still not build a stable relationship. They can return forever without changing the structure. So this is where we add the capacity filter, because the capacity filter is what turns signs into clarity. Here is the capacity filter, and I want you to feel how simple it is. Forward motion, steadiness, repair. If you see the sign, you ask one question from the filter. If they maintain proximity, you ask, does their proximity create forward motion, or does it create reset? Forward motion means over time you see more integration, more consistency, more planning, more exclusivity, more reality. Reset means they come back exactly as they left. Same ambiguity, same excuses, same uncertainty, same resistance to being chosen. If they show protective investment, you ask, does it make me steadier or more alert? If you feel calmer, more secure, less hypervigilant, their care may be building something. If you feel more anxious, more monitored, more confused, their care may be control or inconsistent bonding. If they re-engage after rupture, you ask, do they return with repair or do they return with relief only? Repair means they acknowledge impact, they adjust behavior, they reduce future uncertainty. Relief only means they act warm for a moment, then distance again once they feel safe. Now, I want to slow down here and make this painfully clear, because this is where people lose years. Emotional attachment is not the same as capacity to love you well. Many avoidants are attached. They miss you, they think about you, they feel jealousy, they feel tenderness, they feel longing. They may even feel love. And still, they may not have the capacity to hold your heart with consistency. So the question is not, are they attached? The question is, can they choose you? Can they repair? Can they tolerate the reality that another person's emotional world matters and requires response? Commitment is not a feeling. Commitment is an ability. So if you are anxious, your goal is not to prove they feel. Your goal is to observe whether they consistently choose you, because wanting is not choosing. Attachment is not choosing. Choosing is choosing. Now let's go deeper into the 3 signs so you can recognize them in real life without confusing yourself. Proximity maintenance has subtypes. One subtype is the constant thread. They message regularly, but they avoid deep conversations. They keep you close, but they keep it light. Another subtype is the timed return. They disappear, then return exactly when you start pulling away. Another subtype is the orbit. They are around, watching, reacting, staying visible, but rarely initiating something real. Another subtype is the emergency reach. You go quiet, and suddenly they are worried. Suddenly they care. Suddenly they want to talk. The attachment is real, but the structure can still be unhealthy. So your job is to notice which subtype it is, then apply the capacity filter. Does this thread move forward, or does it keep you hanging? Does their return include repair, or just relief? Now, protective investment also has subtypes. One subtype is the practical protector. They help, fix, solve, show up for tangible things. Another subtype is the emotional tracker. They notice when you are off. They ask questions. They remember the emotional details. Another subtype is the territorial protector. They get jealous. They want access. They want to know who you are with, but they still do not offer clarity. That subtype can look like attachment, but it can be a form of control. So again, you apply the filter. Do they reduce uncertainty, or do they increase it? Does their care come with choice or with entitlement? Now, re-engagement after rupture also has subtypes. One subtype is the soft repair. They come back and they actually change something small. They communicate more. They reassure once. They stop disappearing. Another subtype is the reset return. They come back warm, act like nothing happened, and then repeat. Another subtype is the intimacy spike. They return with intensity, affection, sex, closeness, then distance again. That is the most addictive subtype. So the filter: repair or relief, change or reset. Now, I want to name the 3 most common false positives, because these are the traps that keep anxious people stuck. False positive 1 is sex. Sex is not proof of attachment, and it is not proof of commitment. An avoidant can have sex, bond in the moment, feel tenderness, and still withdraw afterward. False positive 2 is texting. Texting is not commitment. Texting can be a thread of access. False positive 3 is returning. Returning is not choosing. All 3 can exist in a structure where you are still not being chosen. The only proof of commitment is consistent behavior over time that reduces uncertainty and includes repair when there is distance. That is it. If you remember one thing from this episode, remember that. Now, what do you do with the signs, practically? Because people hear these signs and then they start monitoring. They start scanning. They start counting. They start spiraling. That is not the goal. The goal is to use signs to decide what standard to hold. Here is the calm standard that keeps you out of limbo without making you cold. I enjoy you and I like what we have. I am not asking for intensity. I am asking for clarity and consistency that matches how we are acting. I am not available for partner-level closeness without being on the same page. If you are not ready, I respect it, but I will step back. That sentence is the line between you and limbo. It does not attack. It does not beg. It does not threaten. It simply names reality and offers a boundary. Now, why does that standard work? Because it creates structure. It forces the avoidant system to reveal capacity. A capable avoidant might still be avoidant. They might need space. They might move slowly. But they do not punish you for standards. They do not make you beg. They do not keep you in ambiguity while taking partner benefits. They can have a calm conversation. They can offer clarity even if they dislike labels. They can say, I want to keep building. I want to be exclusive. I am not ready for big steps yet, but I am choosing you. That sentence is capacity. An avoidant who is simply managing you will resist clarity. They will offer vibes. They will offer chemistry. They will offer moments. They will offer future talk without present behavior. They will keep your access high and your security low. Now, I want to talk about why avoidants deny attachment even when it is there, because that will stop you from taking it personally. Many avoidants have internal rules that formed early. Needing is dangerous. Depending is weak. Wanting someone means losing myself. If I let this get serious, I will be trapped. If I disappoint them, I will be a failure. Those rules create a predictable pattern. They feel attached, then they minimize it. They enjoy closeness, then they devalue it. They miss you, then they rationalize that they are fine. They want you, then they focus on your flaws to create distance. This is not always conscious. It is nervous system self-protection. So, when you see attachment signs and denial at the same time, it is not because you imagined it. It is because their system is split. One part bonds, one part protects. Now, if you are anxious, you need a boundary around your compassion, because anxious attachment often turns understanding into tolerance. You start saying, they are just scared, so I should wait. They are just avoidant, so I should accept crumbs. No. Compassion does not mean access. Understanding does not mean tolerating. The purpose of understanding is to help you respond cleanly, not to help you stay in pain longer. Now, let's make this even more concrete with scenarios, because that is what makes people stay to the end. Scenario 1. They maintain proximity, they text you, they keep you around, but they avoid commitment talk. The sign is real attachment, but the filter is forward motion. So, you hold the standard once, calmly. If they respond with clarity and consistency, you build. If they respond with defensiveness, disappearance, or vagueness, you step back and remove partner-level access. Not to punish, to protect. Scenario 2. They are protective. They show care. They remember details. But they also disappear for days and return like nothing happened. The sign is attachment, but the filter is steadiness and repair. So, you stop rewarding return with instant deep access. You respond warmly and slowly. You let consistency rebuild trust before you give deeper access. Scenario 3. They return after rupture with intensity. They miss you. They want closeness. They act bonded. This is where anxious attachment collapses. The move is not to reject them. The move is warmth without collapse. You accept the affection, but you require consistency. You do not give the whole relationship back in one night. You let their behavior prove itself over time. Now, here is the part that will make you feel powerful, because it flips the whole dynamic. The most magnetic thing you can do with an avoidant who shows signs of attachment is to stop converting signs into permission to overfunction. You do not chase. You do not audition. You do not try to be perfect. You hold a standard and you let their capacity show itself. Because the most painful truth is that many people are not confused. They are comfortable. They are comfortable with your presence, your intimacy, your emotional labor, and the way you make their life easier, while still not being willing to carry the responsibility of choosing you. Your standard interrupts comfort. That is why it works. It forces reality. And reality is what your nervous system has been begging for. Now, I want to speak to the avoidant listener too, because this channel is at its best when it holds both sides without blame. If you recognize yourself in these signs, proximity maintenance, protective investment, re-engagement after rupture, understand what you are doing to the other person if you do not pair attachment with clarity. You are teaching them that closeness equals uncertainty. You are teaching them that intimacy can be punished with withdrawal. You are teaching them to monitor you instead of trust you. If you care, you do not need grand commitment. You need one small repair, one sentence that signals choice, one consistent behavior that reduces uncertainty. You can say, "I like you and I want to keep building. I move slowly, but I am choosing you." That sentence stabilizes a nervous system. That sentence is not a prison. It is honesty. Now, let's close with the cleanest summary, so you can carry it like a framework, not a feeling. 3 signs they are emotionally attached. They maintain proximity. They invest protectively. They re-engage after rupture. Those signs mean you matter. But the goal is not to collect signs. The goal is to read capacity. Apply the filter. Forward motion, steadiness, repair. If the signs come with forward motion, steadiness, and repair, you build. If the signs come with loops, resets, and punishment when you ask for clarity, you stop investing in hope and you return your nervous system to yourself. Because the right person does not need you to decode them. The right person will not make you argue for reality. The right person chooses you clearly. Welcome to PsychBond. You're safe here.